Austin Reaves and the Los Angeles Lakers are heading straight into one of the most pivotal and complicated off-seasons they've faced in recent years. Reaves is entering a contract year, and word around the league is that he's aiming for a deal worth over $30 million annually. And to be fair, someone out there will probably offer him that kind of money. The real question is whether the Lakers should be the ones cutting that check. It's not just about the dollar amount. It's about value, fit, trajectory, and long-term impact on the franchise's championship ambitions. Now, obviously, no team is going to come out and say, yeah, we don't think this guy is worth it, and we're ready to move on. That's not how it works. You have to play the game, keep a poker face. The Lakers aren't going to publicly undermine one of their young assets, especially not someone who still has a lot of league-wide attention and fan support. If anything, they'll go the complete opposite direction, hyping him up, selling the idea that he's an integral piece of the future. That's the only way to maintain leverage, especially if they end up exploring trades or want to encourage a sign-and-trade scenario. Make no mistake, this is about business as much as it's about basketball. Now let's talk about what Austin Reaves actually is as a player. He's good, genuinely good. There's no denying his talent. He's a high IQ player. He knows how to move off the ball. He's crafty. He can handle the rock, hit threes, and he plays with confidence. But let's not get carried away either. He's not a superstar. He's not the kind of player you build a team around. He's not a franchise cornerstone. And if we're being brutally honest, he's not even close to that level. He's a blue-chip role player, a reliable piece that can contribute on a contender, but not the engine that drives a team forward. Criticism towards Reaves has been floating around all year, but most of it is grounded in reality. It's not hate, it's analysis. And a lot of the things fans and analysts have pointed out, Reaves himself has acknowledged. He knows where he struggles. The inconsistencies are obvious. One night, he's knocking down big shots. The next, he disappears. Sometimes he looks like he's figured it out, playing with poise and control, and other times he gets overwhelmed by physicality or struggles to handle tight defensive pressure. That's part of the growing pains for a young guard, especially one who went undrafted and had to fight for a spot in the league. But the question is, how much are those struggles worth in today's NBA economy? When the Lakers made a big trade for Luka, everything shifted. Suddenly, the dynamic of the backcourt changed entirely. Reaves, once considered a potential long-term piece next to LeBron, became somewhat redundant. It's not even about talent overlap. It's about the way he fits within a rotation that now has to cater to Luka's style and strengths. The minute that trade happened, Reaves became, at best, a luxury and at worst, an awkward fit. If the Lakers were one piece away from contending, if they were simply missing a backup center or another wing defender, then maybe holding on to Reaves at all costs would make sense. But they're not in that position. They have holes to fill, a roster to reshape, and limited resources to do it. Now, of course, Reaves' camp is doing what any good representation team would do, pushing the narrative that their guy is on the verge of a breakout. You'll hear all the talk about how this is the year Reaves takes the leap, how he's been grinding in the offseason, how he's ready to show everyone that he can be a star in this league. That's part of the game. His agent's job is to talk him up, create buzz, and drive up his value. That's how negotiations work. No one's going to walk into a front office and say, hey, just so you know, my client is a little inconsistent, struggles on defense, and has yet to prove himself in the playoffs. That's not how you get paid. But we have to look at the facts. Reaves will turn 27 soon. That's not old by any means, but it's also not as young as some might think. At 27, you're not in the early stages of development. You're entering your prime. And while Reaves has improved his percentages year over year, he's still battling the same core issues: handling pressure, holding up physically, and maintaining consistency. He's had stretches of brilliance, but he's also had just as many rough patches. Even last season, he started off slow, had some shaky outings, and then caught fire midway through. That sounds good on paper, but it doesn't erase the questions about whether he can be a reliable second or third option come playoff time. And speaking of playoffs, that's where the real concerns show up. Regular season numbers are great, but what really matters is what you do when it counts. In the postseason, when defenses lock in, when there's no room to hide, and every possession matters, what kind of player are you then? That's where Reaves hasn't lived up to expectations. He had an incredible series against Memphis, no doubt. But in the Warriors series, especially in those first few games, he struggled hard. Klay Thompson gave him problems. The Warriors game planned for him and exposed some serious weaknesses. Then came the Denver series. To his credit, he bounced back and performed better. But fast forward to the next postseason run, and he regressed again, shooting poorly, disappearing in key moments, and leaving the Lakers without the support they needed from the backcourt. And look, this isn't a personal attack on Austin Reaves. The guy plays hard, he competes, and he clearly wants to get better. But we've seen enough of him now to start forming a realistic picture. He's a very solid player who can help you win games, but he's not the kind of guy you break the bank for, especially not when you're trying to build a roster that can support Luka, LeBron, and potentially another high-level piece. Reaves has value, but the Lakers need to decide whether that value is best realized on their roster or as an asset in a trade that brings back better overall balance. If Reaves is going to be part of the Lakers' future, he needs to elevate. He needs to get stronger, improve his lateral quickness, work on his three-point consistency, and become more dependable on the defensive end. He doesn't have to become an elite defender, but he has to be good enough not to get hunted every possession. And if the team is investing heavily in player development, strength coaches, and analytics-driven training staff, they need to put Reaves in that lab too. He's not a lost cause, not even close. But if he's going to justify the kind of payday he wants, he's going to have to show it not just in January or February, but in May and June. We've seen teams like Dallas go deep with guards who complement their star. Luka and Kyrie made it work, and while Reaves isn't Kyrie, he doesn't have to be. If he can become a slightly more physical, more efficient, more consistent version of himself, there's a role for him in this league on a winning team. The issue is whether the Lakers can afford to wait for that version to arrive and whether they can afford the price tag that comes with the hope of potential. What complicates the situation even further is the broader context of the Lakers' roster and organizational timeline. This isn't a team with years to wait and develop talent slowly. LeBron James is aging, and while he continues to perform at an elite level, everyone knows the clock is ticking. Every year the team doesn't contend for a championship feels like a squandered opportunity, a wasted year of one of the greatest players of all time. And even with Anthony Davis locked in, there's no certainty that he can carry the team solo if LeBron finally begins to slow down or decides to retire. The pressure is immense. The margin for error is paper thin. In that kind of environment, investing major money into a player like Austin Reaves is risky, not because he's bad, but because the upside might not match the urgency. And there's also the issue of opportunity cost. Every dollar committed to Reaves is a dollar not spent elsewhere. The Lakers have to think about how to build a complete team around their stars. They need shooting, size, defensive versatility, and maybe even another playmaker depending on how the rotation shakes out. If you overpay for a guard who hasn't consistently proven himself under playoff pressure, you're tying your hand financially. That's the kind of mistake that haunts franchises, not in theory, but in very practical, very real terms. It limits flexibility. It limits trades. It limits mid-season adjustments. It forces you to stick with a core that might not be good enough. We've seen the Lakers make this mistake before with bloated contracts and misplaced faith in players that didn't quite pan out when it mattered most. There's also something to be said about perception. If other teams view Reaves as a valuable asset because of his age, his stats, or his marketability, then the Lakers need to consider whether it's smarter to cash in on that value now, before any regression or before another disappointing postseason chips away at it. It's not just about what a player is, it's about what the league thinks he is. If the perception of Reaves is that he's a young, ascending, tough-minded guard who can shoot, pass, and play smart team basketball, then that perception has value. That's a card you can play. But once that perception starts to change, it's hard to undo. And for a front office trying to maximize assets, timing is everything. What makes this decision even murkier is Reaves' role in the locker room and with the fan base. He's likable. He's earned respect from veterans. He's connected to the community. That matters. Chemistry is real, and ripping out a piece of the culture just to save some cap space can backfire. But sentimentality doesn't win titles. And front offices that get too attached to players often find themselves in mediocrity. The best franchises know when to buy in and when to pivot. Reaves is not untouchable. No one outside of the true superstars is. If the Lakers can use him to land a more complete or complementary piece, they need to explore it. If another team is willing to overpay, let them. That's just smart roster construction. There's also the Luka factor to consider more deeply. When the Lakers made the move to bring in a generational talent like him, the franchise essentially reset its competitive window. That move wasn't about development. It was about now. It was about loading up, building around a singular talent who needs the right kind of support. The league has shown that it's possible to build successful cores around heliocentric stars like Luka, but it requires precision. Every piece has to fit. Every player around him has to either stretch the floor, defend at a high level, or make quick reads and cuts. Reaves can do some of those things, but not consistently. And again, this isn't about knocking his game. It's about figuring out whether he's the right piece in this specific puzzle. It's not lost on anyone that the Lakers could try to keep him, ride out another season, and reassess. But that strategy comes with risk too. What if his value dips? What if he gets hurt? What if he hits a plateau? What if the chemistry doesn't work and he finds himself marginalized in the rotation? Then you're stuck with a declining asset heading into free agency, possibly walking for nothing. On the flip side, what if he blows up and actually plays at a near all-star level? Well, then you'll have to pay even more to keep him, and that could be just as problematic depending on how the rest of the roster shakes out. Waiting only makes sense if you're confident that the outcome is worth the gamble, and right now, it's hard to say that with any certainty. There's also the idea floating around that Reaves could be used in a sign-and-trade scenario, which might be the ideal middle ground. It allows the Lakers to recoup value while giving Reaves the payday he's looking for. But even that route requires precision. The team taking him on has to believe in him as a core piece, and the Lakers have to be smart about what they ask for in return. Trading him just to trade him would be short-sighted. It has to be a move that brings real value back. Players who contribute immediately and fit within the current structure. What's undeniable is that Reaves has heart. That's never been the issue. He competes, he hustles, and he has a feel for the game that can't be taught. But in this league, effort and IQ are only part of the equation. The rest is about matchups, fit, consistency, and performance under pressure. And until Reaves proves that he can be that kind of difference maker across an entire playoff run, the Lakers have to be cautious. Because if there's one thing that derails good teams quickly, it's bad contracts attached to players you like more than you trust. So where does that leave Reaves? In limbo, essentially. He's in that strange middle ground where he's clearly more than just a fringe player, but not quite a foundational one. He could end up staying in LA, getting paid well, and becoming a reliable third or fourth option. Or he could find himself moved in a deal that's more about structure and ceiling than about emotion. Either way, the next few months will define a big chunk of his career and could have long-term consequences for the Lakers as they try to build a contender in a brutally competitive Western Conference. Before we continue, we ask that you leave a like and subscribe to the channel so you won't miss any exclusive Lakers updates. Moving on, the Los Angeles Lakers have reportedly been eyeing a blockbuster trade that could shake the NBA landscape, a potential move for Giannis Antetokounmpo. While nothing is confirmed, whispers around the league suggest the Lakers see the Greek Freak as a game-changer capable of restoring their championship glory. But is this just wishful thinking or a deal that might actually happen? Giannis Antetokounmpo, a two-time MVP and one of the most dominant forces in basketball, has long been the subject of trade speculation. His blend of size, athleticism, and skill makes him a coveted asset for any team aiming to build a title contender. The Lakers, fresh off some turbulent seasons and desperate to regain their elite status, could see Giannis as the missing piece to complement their current roster. After all, pairing him with stars like LeBron James and Anthony Davis would create a terrifying trio for any opponent. Sources close to the Lakers' front office hint that talks are at a preliminary stage, mostly exploratory. They are said to be assessing what kind of package would be required to lure Giannis away from Milwaukee, where he is the face of the franchise and a beloved figure. The Bucks, understandably, would demand a hefty return, likely involving a combination of young talent, draft picks, and possibly even one of the Lakers' marquee players. On the surface, the move seems almost too good to be true. Giannis' ability to dominate both ends of the floor could dramatically shift the Lakers' fortunes. However, there are major hurdles. Giannis has a strong bond with Milwaukee and has expressed his desire to win there. Moreover, trading away valuable assets might cripple the Lakers' depth, risking long-term stability for a high-stakes gamble. Adding to the intrigue is the timing. With LeBron James in the latter stage of his career, the Lakers might feel an urgency to assemble a championship-caliber team while their superstar is still at peak performance. Giannis would fit perfectly into that timeline, potentially extending the Lakers' window of dominance. Still, skeptics argue that this might just be NBA chatter, exciting to speculate but unlikely to materialize anytime soon. Front offices are often known to test the waters, gauge interest, and drive up the value of their stars. Until official moves are made, the Lakers' interest in Giannis remains in the realm of rumor. Fans are undoubtedly eager to see if this dream scenario becomes reality. The possibility of Giannis suiting up in purple and gold sparks visions of titles and glory. But for now, it remains a tantalizing rumor, one that could either fizzle out or explode into one of the biggest trades the league has ever seen. Only time will tell if the Lakers' pursuit of Giannis Antetokounmpo is just a fleeting fantasy or the dawn of a new NBA dynasty. Stay informed exclusively about Los Angeles Lakers news. Subscribe to our channel and hit the like button to keep receiving daily updates. Also, share your opinion on the news in the comments, as your contribution is crucial for the Lakers. Stay tuned for the next video.